So today I'm going to talk about test reporters. We'll get into that a little bit later here. First, a little bit about me. My name is Matt Sears. I've been doing Ruby for about 6 or 7 years or so. And in 2007, I co-founded a company called Lowlines. We do Ruby on Rails consulting, web design, and some product development. And we have a lot of fun. So I want to say this first off, is that this is not a serious talk. I'm not going to sit here and tell you should be doing this or you should not be doing that. And it's certainly not a what testing talk where you should be, I should say you should be testing, you should be using Rspec, or you should be using MiniTest. This is just a lighthearted talk about test reporters. And it's just doing test reporting is just something fun to do. And you can have a chance to be a little creative as well. All right, so who here tests or watch tests run on their daily basis? Okay, that's good. It's just about everybody. All right, so who here, in terms of Ruby, Rspec? A lot. That's probably the same about a number. And MiniTest? Anybody? MiniTest? All right, a few. That's good. So we're going to be talking in this talk about how to do a test reporter in Rspec and how to do a test reporter in MiniTest. We got them both covered. First of all, what is a test reporter? Simply put, it's something that just reports the results of your tests or tests. You may have heard the term test formatter. I think Rspec uses the term text formatter. I like test reporter because it makes more sense. We're reporting tests. We're not formatting tests. So why should we do this? Like I said, it's just a fun thing to do. Also allows you to be a little bit more creative. And something that you can show your friends or your colleagues. And most of us run tests a lot every day, so it's just something nice to look at. So some of you may have seen, this is maybe a little hard, but some of this may look familiar to you. Certainly, I see it occasionally. Either you get a pull request in, or you clone a new project, you run the test suites, and you get this. Frustration-driven development. Evan Light has a talk right after me that goes into a little bit about this. This certainly can be frustrating when we get a new project or bundle updates and we all of a sudden get a black screen of death of red Fs. Testing should be fun. I think since we have to do it a lot every day, we should try to make the most out of it. All right, so this is the equivalent. Not as many tests, but just about the same number of failures percentage-wise. And I don't know about you, but for me, I like to actually look at this a little bit better. If I'm going to have a lot of failing tests, I'd rather look at this rather than a screen full of red Fs. So a little bit later, we're going to show you how we can do something like this, and it's pretty simple. Okay, so tomorrow there's a talk by Ernie Miller called "The Most Important Optimization is Happiness," and that's kind of what we're going to do here. I mean, we have to run tests a lot a day, so we're going to make it a little bit more fun. Even if it's a little bit, we're still optimizing happiness a little bit, and to make our day just go a little bit better. All right, story time. A little bit about how I got into test formatters or test reporters. Kind of by accident. I didn't really go out and kind of seek how to write my own test reporter. A few years ago, there was this coding competition, I guess you can call it, called Code Brawl. Anyone here Code Brawl? Couple. It was a competition. Every day would show these challenges, and you had 2 weeks or a week, I think, to complete them. And so I got involved in that a few years ago, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good way of just trying to do something that I normally wouldn't do in my daily job, or experiment with something that I wouldn't normally play with. And it wasn't about winning or anything like that. It was just about kind of getting into something that I would normally do. And one time, and they stopped doing this. They, for some whatever reason, don't do code raw anymore as of a year ago. It's a shame, but I wish they would start back up. So one of the competitions, or one of the tasks here was called Rspec Formatters 2. It's part 2 because they had originally did an Rspec Formatter as their first kind of challenge. So this was the second part. So why not? So I dove right in and tried to do it. Personally, to be honest, I'm not an Rspec person. Nothing against Rspec. I think it's great. I just prefer MiniTest. So this was a good chance to kind of get into Rspec. And I certainly have not done any, any kind of test or formatter code or anything like that. So it was fun. So why not? Let's see what that looks like. So the idea was to come up with some kind of a creative test reporter that's using Rspec in a way that, for me, was just going to be something simple and something fun to do. Nyan Cat, anyone's here have heard of Nyan Cat? Probably everybody. I hope you did, because I don't know how I would explain what Nyan Cat is unless I had a photo of or a picture of it here. So for whatever reason, I thought this would be a good idea. Let me try to do a Nyan Cat test reporter. So just the rainbows have somehow give me feedback on how my tests are running. So that's what I want to do. And I ended up, you can see that. This was version 0.1, and it simply just gives a rainbow of test results. And as you can see, the red asterisk mean I have 2 failures. And so that was it. And you can see now it's just a single line, and it just marches across the screen as the tests are run. But I didn't win the competition. I think I got second place, but that was okay, because as soon as I started writing this, or wrote this, made it a gem, and started using it in my daily workflow, it actually was I felt a positive spin on my day, and I thought, well, this is great. So this is kind of like an aha moment. I want to do more of this stuff just to make my day just a little bit better. Not to mention, showing folks you work with and the reactions you get from that. All right, so let's go on to the code. I'm going to show you how to build your own test reporter, both in MiniTest and Rspec. We'll start with MiniTest. Okay, so 3 simple steps to a test reporter, a basic test reporter, I should say. We first have to determine if it's pass, fail, pending, or skip. So we have to figure out, as the results coming in, what is it? Is it pass, fail, pending, or skip? And then we need to print the test reports, the test results of that test. And ideally in some kind of creative, fun way to do that. And at the very end, we have to print a summary of all the test suites. So if we run 1,000 tests, we have to print the summary of all the tests. All right, so the requirements for doing a test reporter, here are mine. It can be whatever you want. I almost added simple, fun, and useful, because we can do all 3, but we're just going to start with something simple and fun. And so Nyan Cat's already been done. Let's do something with emoji. Everyone loves emoji, right, for whatever reason. All right, first up, MiniTests. MiniTest is perhaps the simplest to do. MiniTest provides this output for us. So output is simply just a string to get to the terminal. So our job is to actually just overwrite what this default MiniTest unit has for output. We'll make our own output, and then we'll tie the 2 back together at the end. All right, so first step is plain Ruby. We're just going to create a new class called Emoji. We're going to pass in an IO, and that can be anything. In this case, it's going to be our stream to our our terminal. If we wanted to do something a little bit more crazy, we can pass in something other than something a stream to the terminal. We can pass in HTML file or something that we can kind of output to. All right, so here's our emojis. These are not our real emojis, but these are the ones that our screen is going to interpret for us. MiniTest has 4 statuses here. I'm only using 4 here, but I think there's pending, which is missing. But period means pass, E, fail, or error, F is fail, S is skip. So each one of those are going to correspond to an emoji that we assign here, which we'll see in real action here. All right, so first thing we do is we need to print out the result. So in MiniTest, print means print one result. So I have one result, I'm given one result as the input, and I just need to print it out in a funny way. So, and we'll see how all this code looks together shortly. But our job here is just to take the result and then print it out onto the screen. And here we're simply just taking the result and passing it into the map that we have defined on the previous slide. All right, puts. In MiniTest, puts means we're displaying the results of running the entire suite. And it's essentially we're taking the parameter that puts gives us, and this is all done with MiniTest does this for us. All we have to do is take the parameter and replace. Here we're replacing failures with our emoji, and errors with our emoji, and so on. And this is the final step. We just have to tell MiniTest to use our output instead of its default output. So here we're just saying, MiniTest, use this output for running your tests and for reporting your tests. And that's it. Pretty simple. All right, so let's look at the code, how that looks. Can everyone see that okay? Good. All right, so this pretty much is exactly what we just saw. These are initialize, our prints and puts. The only thing that is different here is method missing. MiniTest, I'm not really exactly sure why it's required, but we do have to put method missing here to actually make the reporter run. All right, so let's run that. So I have a little script here that runs that code, and then looks like this. So, and then we can, the great thing about this is if we don't like these particular emojicons, we can just replace our own with whoever we want, and a lot nicer. Okay. So some other MiniTest reporters that are out there, there's not many. I'm hoping after this talk that there will be people who actually create more. All of these are found on GitHub. MiniTest Pride is actually shipped with MiniTest. You simply just say, require MiniTest/Pride, and you get a nice colorful rainbow output for your tests. This was actually kind of my inspiration for Nyan Cat. I just really love having the rainbow as the results. So that kind of triggered to do Nyan Cat. MiniTest emoji, this one's already done. This is similar to what we just kind of wrote. This was done by Tender Love. Aaron Patterson did this one. And MiniTest reporters, I actually just found MiniTest reporters. Someone's written just a subset of reporters to use. The default one for MiniTest reporters is a progress bar. So this kind of goes on to the useful approach of doing a mini report. It's nothing much fun to look at, but you can tell exactly where you are in your running your tests. And it's just that equal sign just goes across the screen. that's about it. There may be others out there, but I just couldn't find them. Okay, so moving on to Rspec. Rspec gives us a little bit better framework to use to build our own test reporter. Again, Rspec uses test formatter, so it might be a little confusing here because all we do is simply create a new class and we inherit from base text formatter. Rspec ships with maybe half a dozen of its own text formatters. Most of them, if not all of them, inherit from base text formatters, but they have a progress bar, I think, in there, and also if you wanted to display if you wanted to output your test results to an HTML file, that's shipped with Rspec. What else? Oh, I think they have like TextMate capabilities. You can run your test within TextMate. I think that's about it. All right, so again, this is simple. We're just creating a new class. We're inheriting from base text formatter that Rspec gives us. Here's our same emoji map that we have. We're going to use the same one. So Rspec, I guess, like again I said, they gave us a little bit more framework for doing formatters. We don't have to determine if something has passed or failed. All we have to do is overwrite the example passed, example pending, and example failed methods. And that's it. Rspec has already figured that out and made it a little nicer for us to do. So in here, we could, if example passed, we're just giving the corresponding pass key to emojis and saying, here, just display this emoji for pass, display this emoji for pending, and so forth. And then finally, the third step of doing a reporter is just to print out the results. Dump summary is something that Rspec provides. It calls that every time when the whole spec is finished. This displays all the results. And here again, we don't want to see failures or errors. We actually just want to see our matching emojicons when the tests are complete. Okay, so here's the code. It looks pretty familiar. Nothing's different really here. Just want to touch point on this is that Rspec, you can do a little bit more. You actually have a little bit more control of how your tests are reported. Usually when you run your Rspec tests, it gives you a list of all your failures, of all the tests that failed. It gives you a list of all the tests that are pending. In this case, I chose to hide that stuff just for demoing. But if you did want to change how those are reported, we can do that as well. All right, so some other Rspec test reporters. There's a little bit more than MiniTest, but not much more. Fuubar is probably one of the more popular ones. It's similar to the one we saw in MiniTest. It's just a nice progress bar. So it gives you a nice sense of where your test's at and how far they have to go before they execute. Okay. Okay, so Nyan Cat, this is mine that released, since it's been released, the 0.1 version a year ago. There's some pull requests and some updates. It's kind of expanded a little bit, and I wanted to give you a demo of Nyan Cat as it is today. And the reason I want to do that, I'll tell you here shortly. Okay, there we go. So the reason I wanted to show you this is that we're not limited to just one line of test reporters. Through some pull requests and some working on it, we were able to get it to work with multi-line. So you can have a reporter that works on the terminal, on the console, multi-line and fashion. And what that will give you, as each test is going through, is that it will give you a little bit of animation as well. And we did some fun things. I'll run it again. So at first, the cat is sleepy, but as soon as there's a pending or failure test, it wakes up, chugs along. So this one's, we use this, I use this daily. It's nice because it's nice to look at, plus actually give you some useful feedback of how many tests have passed or failed. And also, it's a progress too, because when it gets to the end is when all your tests are done. And as you see, since we had some failures and some pending, that Nyan Cat at the end is not happy. All right. So, so I want to make a quick note here that all my slides and the demo code are on GitHub. If you clone them and download them, you should be able to run Nyan Cats and just see how easy it is to make your own reporter. So hopefully after this talk that I hope to see more test reporters out there. They're fun, they're easy to do, lets you be a little bit more creative, so I encourage everyone to go out there and make your own. That's the end of my talk.